Hello, it's Kali of Upcycle Underground, and today I'm gonna show you a quick upcycle idea for a t-shirt. Pardon, but the coffee is absolutely essential. So, what I've got here is this black t-shirt with little love hearts, colorful love hearts over here. So, I got a little bit inspired by the hearts and the colors. I also have some prints from kids' clothing that we didn't sell, so I've got a pinkie pie here and a couple of applications that I'm gonna add, like this one, and also this one. It's gonna be a simple upcycle because not every job has to be really big and, you know, spectacular. Sometimes little things like this, like 3 little pieces, actually make the whole clothing item. So what I'm gonna do now is use my pins and pin the applications to the t-shirt, obviously, so I can sew them on the machine. And I'm thinking about the layout. I like the hearts. I think I'm gonna leave them as they are, and I'm gonna leave the front as it is. I will add the small applications on the sleeves, like so. So I'm gonna pin them now. T-shirt was folded, so it's quite easy to put it on. Also, it doesn't have to be even because, you know, the shapes aren't even. So it's a really cool idea if you're a starting upcycler and you want to do something quite simple. So my first application is here along the sleeve, right? I'm gonna add this one on the other sleeve. Right, I'm gonna need 2 pins for this one, I think. I'm not doing any temporary seams as I'm quite experienced, but if you're not experienced, what you could do to make it a little bit easier when sewing on the machine is actually take a needle and thread and use a simple stitch, any kind of stitch that you're able to take out later. I'm not going to do this with this project, but with the next one I'll show you, I promise. I've got more coming up. So there we go. So yeah, if you've got a kid who's got really cool prints on their clothing, but they've grown out because they grow really quick, then you can actually cut out the prints, put out the letters, and get upcycling, basically. There's so much clothing around the world being just thrown away, and it's a massive shame, you know, especially that we're not having the best of times right now when it comes to economy. So actually redoing your clothing or making sure that it's got a really long lifespan because you love it is actually a great thing to do. If you do that, if you recycle and upcycle your clothing, double thumbs up for you. And you deserve a prize as well, because, you know, fast fashion market right now is incredible. And that's sarcasm, basically. What they're doing is just insane. Like, we've got 6 generations of clothing waiting for us in the shops. And the quality of items has gone down drastically, like, especially when it comes to jeans and denim. So, going for an option of like second-hand shops, thrift stores, vintage shops, you know, using Vinted. I know that Vinted is a bit of a problem right now because it's flooded, absolutely flooded with basically chain store clothing that people buy and then wear once or twice and sell them on. But it's a very great market if you're an upcycler because you can find really good vintage pieces that you can actually redo. Also, it's worth asking in second-hand shops if there are any damaged items that they won't be selling, because you can get your upcycling pieces for free. I do that. I also do dumpster diving and I collect stuff from my friends and family. You know, we've got quite a few kids in the family, so it's cool because I've got things like this. Alright, so this has been pinned. So that's the back of the t-shirt. I'll think if I should add anything else when I'm done with the machine, right? So it's machine time. Let me pause the video for a second and move over to the monster. Okay, so here's me and Yuki the monster. We call her Monster because she basically eats anything that you feed her. That's the joke running here, but that's the truth. I love this machine. It's an industrial machine. I'm capable of sewing pretty much anything, including leather pieces and denim pieces that are folded into 4 or 5, which is great when you're upcycling, because there's a lot of like folding or multiple layers of things going onto your base, right? So that's the base. What I'm gonna do is start with the thingy, with the sleeves, but I'm thinking which color should I use, which color thread should I use for this. I think I'm gonna match something along the hearts, maybe the purple or the blue, so it goes well with the pink. So I need to change the thread now. Let me show you the process, why not? So I've got quite a few threads here, but I think this one will be perfect going with the purple heart, and actually it will add a little bit of color. Or maybe I should go with green, maybe? Nah, I'm gonna stick to purple. Sometimes the first idea is the best, but sometimes, not always, right? This is a freestyle upcycle, so I'm trying to make it quite quick. As you can see, we're on 7th minute, and I'm already prepared to get this finished, right? And also I forgot to take my tag to attach to the t-shirt, so I'm going to get a tag in a minute. That's another very important thing if you're a creator, any kind of a creator. Make sure you credit yourself. Make sure that your work has been signed, autographed, marked as yours, as your work. It's super important, because right now with the fast fashion sales, with Temu and AliExpress and all sorts of other things like Shein, for example, you know, your ideas will get stolen. It's a matter of time. The more you do, the bigger the chance that it will happen. So make sure that you've got your name, that you've got your tags, preferably that it's registered as a trademark. In that case, if you ever see your designs anywhere else, at least you're able to say, listen, you need to have this tag to make sure that it's mine, that it's coming from me. Otherwise, you know, you'll see cheap fakes really quickly and cry on Instagram that somebody stole your design, right? I've seen those stories many a time. I know I'm going to cry when somebody steals my design. And it's going to happen, right? It is. So I'm prepared, and I always use my tags. So pardon me while I go and take my tag. Okay, so let me show you how I've made my tags. All of them are upcycled as well. They're quite small. They're like little jean pieces with the stamp of our company, I'd say. And I'm gonna tag it, basically. I love graffiti, so I'm going to tag it with my tag, which is quite characteristic, and, you know, it's handmade as well. So let me just sign it, so the piece is complete. Permanent markers stay on denim, and you don't need to dry them or anything, which is great. So here's my tag, WRP, which is short for warp, and warp is me. Right, so what I'm gonna do now is actually start sewing, right? Let me get this done. So I'm gonna start with the sleeves, as I said. It can be tricky because I haven't cut up the t-shirt, so So yeah, if you're inexperienced, again, under the seams of the t-shirt so you can get it flat and go with it, basically. Right. Also, you don't need an industrial machine. A lot of upcycling can be done handmade without the use of the machine. It's just quicker, not necessarily more comfortable, as you can see. Takes a bit of fiddling. Right. So I think I'm in the right place with the needle now. I've put down the foot of the machine. I've flattened my material out and I'm ready to get going. Always remember when you start sewing to go back and forth. That ensures that your threads don't come out later. I mean, just like you make this little knot when you're doing your hand sewing, here instead of a knot you go back and forth, right? I know that the seam gets a bit thicker in that place, but on the other hand the job is just not done right. So yeah, there's that. Okay, let me take out the needle. I've got like a little needle box here that I can keep them all together. Of course I keep losing them. It's impossible not to lose your needles and pins and stuff. It just keeps going missing all the time. So make sure you've got a full stock and supply of those things. Right. I think it's going to be really cute, this t-shirt. Can't wait to get it done. Also, the purpose of this video, if you're wondering, sorry to be starting from the back, but this is completely unscripted and it's not going to be edited. It just goes in raw as it is, because that's the way I am. Basically, that's how I do things. It's the same with vinyl playing or video game playing, you know, like I've got my process that I stick to. Mainly it comes from the fact that I'm autistic. Many people didn't know that. But yeah, I'm autistic, so I need my routines and I need my peace when I'm working. Otherwise, I'm not happy with the outcome, right? And then I can't sleep. Even over a little Pinkie Pie thing. So yeah. So yeah, the purpose of this video is to show you how long it actually takes me to do an upcycle like this. Because a lot of the time people say like, oh, the machine does all the work for you, or like, you know, your prices are too high, or whatever. And I'm like, you know, would you get out of bed for less than national minimum wage? Would you even set a fucking alarm? Pardon the bad word. I might beep it, I might not. But yeah, you know, you wouldn't set an alarm for like, you know, $5, right? Per hour. I mean, if you're desperate, you would, but you know what I mean. Like, I like to appreciate the handiwork of other upcyclers as well. I've got quite a few upcycled bits from various cool creators here that I wear. They're actually my clothing. You won't be able to see me wearing them in the workshop simply because they're too cool to destroy while I do all sorts of crazy stuff. And we will get to that as well. Maybe even in the next video, we'll see. But going back to Pinkie Pie, one sleeve is done. That was the trickiest part. That's why I've started with this one, because it's irregular shape and it's quite large. So yeah, the first sleeve is done. Now I'm gonna do the other one. Oh, that's gonna be so much simpler. It's actually, the card is upside down, so I'm gonna turn it around. Awesome. Actually, if you're curious about the music in the background, I don't like to scare people with metal, which I grew up on. So I listen to a lot of drum and bass when I work. Also, it's got the right tempo, 175 BPMs. It's quite fast for some, but this beat actually makes me think quicker. Or so I believe. And here's one of my favorite tracks. It's Face, and the track is called From Deep Space. I've actually got a tattoo of this album cover on my leg, and a lifetime discount for Neo Signal, the label that actually released this album, which is quite a funny story, because I basically took a photo in the bath of that tattoo, put it on Instagram and said, "Oi, Face and Misanthrope and Neo Signal, like, I've got your tattoo, can I have a little discount?" And they were like, "Yeah, of course you can." Really cool guys. From deep space. From deep space. So yeah, if I'm singing or whatever, sorry, I'm not a good singer, but I love music. Everything I do here, all this work, it's enjoyable, but it's not my main passion in life, actually. My passion in life is music. I love music. I can't stand the quietness of the world. I can't stand all this weird white noise. Music gives me release from that, gives me relief, and gives me peace of mind. So I do all this and I sell it just so I can have enough money for the food for my dog and myself, obviously, and to buy new vinyl records that I'm gonna play later on my turntables. You can check out my other channel, Warp. My one and only mix is there, available to listen. I'm planning to release more soon, but I need to finish a couple of things in the workshop first, get through a launch event, because, well, we've moved. We had a second-hand shop here in Warsaw, like a little concept store, but unfortunately the idea wasn't right for the area. Like, people prefer to, like, have a look, have a gander, and then contact me over the internet or whatever. So we actually changed the business model, and we're now working from our atelier. We've actually got a big launch coming up on the 1st of December, where we're gonna have a lot of fun with upcycling and art. Okay, so my sleeves are done, as you can see, right? So I'm gonna go with the back of the t-shirt now. Hello, Pinkie Pie. She's so cute, isn't she? I didn't really grow up with My Little Pony, but I think she's extremely cute. I don't know if I'm not gonna move her a little bit lower, but then if somebody wants to upcycle it further, I'm not gonna take away the possibilities, right? So no, I'm not gonna move it. It's staying right in the middle of the back. It's a regular shape. Thanks to it, like I said, it's quite easy to attach. Right-yo. If your t-shirt hasn't got like seams on the back that you can undo, like this one, it's no problem. You basically need to mark it, cut it straight, to ensure that, it keeps its shape. And that's it, basically. Then put it back together. But as I've said, I'm quite experienced with this, and I'm freestyling, so I'm not going to do any extra work. I just want to get it done as soon as possible. We're on nearly 20 minutes, so I think it's like half an hour for an upcycle of a t-shirt like this. We'll see. I'm in no rush though. That is not the point of this exercise. I don't rush. I just work pretty fast. Once I've got an idea, it's pretty easy for me to execute. Right, and remember what pins actually do, you know, on top of like keeping stuff together, is actually they fold the material, the fabric a little bit. So when you're sewing and coming close to it, to the pin, just remove it. Make sure that you take it out so you can flatten your fabrics and continue your work. Also, a little pro tip: if you've got a very big print from another t-shirt or whatever, it can stick to the foot here and roll up and actually change the way it folds. So if you do have a problem like that, what I highly suggest is using like like a laminated paper or something like this. Because it makes your life much easier. What it does is it basically, you put it on top of the print and sew through it to make sure that it doesn't roll up, it doesn't fold, and you don't damage the actual print, you know. Some of them are quite old, especially on like, merch or whatever. So if you want to keep it all intact, it's a good practice to actually make sure you cover the print. And so on top of that, I'm going to show you that in a second, because I'm coming up to Pinkie Pie's tail, which is quite big and the margin is quite small, and I wouldn't like to damage her, right? Just make sure that the paper is quite slick, right? It's like slippery. Okay, so I've covered my print and I can move on. You can sew through the paper as well, because it will work like, it will perforate basically, and you can take it out like you separate, for example, stamps. If you know what stamps are, I'm quite old. So yeah. You can actually, use that like stamps and then remove it. I don't have a need to go through the paper, I don't think, with this project, but many a time I've actually done that and removed the paper later. Not far off the end, my friends. I'm going to present this probably in a few minutes. Well, my paper actually got sewn up here. So I need to move it around. I'm going to remove little bits of it later. I'm halfway through, and this bit will be much easier, the top bit, because the shape is easier to manage basically. If you see that your foot is getting stuck on the On the print, you just add the paper again. You can remove some of the, sewn in one. And that's it. And when you remove it, basically what happens is those little holes are created and it pulls apart pretty easy. Just make sure you don't damage the threads. That's the only tricky part. Removing it very, very gently, not to damage your work, basically, because it's easy to pull away the threads. This track is super awesome. I'm so sad about it because it's only a few minutes and I'm used to tracks that are like, 7.5 minutes and stuff. But it's really, really good. I really like it. I've heard somewhere that metal and drum and bass are impossible to hum and sing. Well, I wouldn't agree with that at all. I know I'm not doing it exactly according to the tailoring art, because every bend I should actually put the needle down and turn materials around, like the fabrics, sorry, not materials. I need to get used to it, but pardon me, I'm bilingual. English is my favorite language to use, but it's not my first language, so yeah, sometimes I make mistakes or don't use the correct words or whatever. But I'm Polish, actually. I lived in Liverpool for nearly 10 years. That's where my accent and knowledge of English actually comes from. But yeah. Nearly there. I can't wait. I can't wait to see her done. The final stretch is quite tricky because you're adding, one old thing onto another. It can be a little bit tricky because, you need to stretch the materials, make sure that everything fits in place perfectly. Otherwise, it will have these weird bumps and it's not going to look good, basically. So I'm here at the final stretch. Come on, Pinkie Pie. There they are. Right, it's not perfect, but how can it be when you're doing something in 30 minutes? All I've got left is to attach the tag, which I've already lost somewhere. There it is. I'm going to remove this tag and leave this one. Why? Because it's got the contents of the fabric on it. That's the first thing, so you can see what it is, and it's got the size, so it's easier for people to actually try them on and stuff. But I don't need this, right? Because I've redone this t-shirt. So I'm gonna add it over here. Why I'm doing it like this is because I want the pink thread to be at the top. Not pink, purple. And again, back and forth, and along the seam here. Again, practice. So there we go, I think I'm done. A 30-minute freestyle upcycle of a t-shirt, done. I'm gonna try it on and show you the results. Okay, so here I am in my t-shirt that I've just upcycled. As you can see, I've got this sleeve done with the Pinkie Pie application. I've got the little hearts and stars on here, and this is the back. Simple, effective, works with the print that was here already. Minimum waste, maximum fun. For more upcycling ideas, please like, subscribe, and if you like what you see or you want to give me some feedback, I'm happy to read through your comments and take them on board. On top of that, I'm looking for suggestions. What should I do next? What kind of a freestyle would you like to see, or what kind of a project? I'm up for basically anything. I'm happy to make furniture out of skateboards, or clothing, or I don't know, design a world for a video game, make a tune. So yeah, whatever you think I should design, please leave the comments. I'm gonna be waiting for those. I hope you like my Pinkie Pie shirt, and see you soon in the next video about upcycling more than about me. Peace.